G'day and welcome to my channel. In this video I'll be showing you a few simple steps in fish photography in studio. In 3 simple steps. The first step will be putting together the little aquascape to photograph them in. The second step will be the photography of the fish. And the third step will be some simple techniques on how to use Photoshop. So sit back and relax and enjoy this video, and please like and subscribe for further videos like this. In the first step, get yourself a nice little cheap nano aquarium. This way you'll ensure there is no scratches in the glass, and this in turn will optimize your photos. Then you will need a heater and some filtration. Then you will need some nice natural gravel, preferably a darker color. This will make the color of the fish stand out a lot more. Then choose some nice rocks, some driftwood, and then the plants. I've done a quick diagram on how your aquarium should be set out. Try and surround the sides and the back of the tank with plants and leave an open centerpiece. This will encourage the fish to congregate in the center of the tank. With this studio gear you can go as cheap or as expensive as you like. I've actually got proper flash guns, but you can just as easily do this with the battery operated flash guns you get for your camera. You'll probably need at the minimum 2, one for the top and one for the front. Then you might need a wireless studio trigger, unless your flash guns will trigger each other. Now to setting up the naturalistic looking scape. You can do as little or as much as you like with this. I prefer to go a little bit overboard. It makes for a nicer photo and makes it look much more natural. I remove the backing and turn it around just to have a nice black background and prepare it for the scape. This is easily done with these small aquariums. They come in a kit because everything comes with it. Now to adding the sand. I've previously washed this sand so it's all ready to go. It's a nice coloured natural sand with, as I said before, a minimum amount of white rock. The white rock could be a little bit of a pain as it will reflect the light and glare in the tank. I'll put in a nice base before I add the rock, just to anchor the rock in place, and then work out where I want to put the base rocks. This will step up the background a little bit. I backfill the background with sand, so there's no chance of the fish getting in behind them and hiding or getting stuck. And then I slowly build up the background. With this scape I've chosen a mossy background. I grow this moss myself. This is actually a native moss. I've grown in the base of a tank semi-submersed for quick growth, and I get nice sheets that are intertwined together that I can wrap around the rocks. I may do another video on this down the track just to show you how I grow this. It adds a nice effect and it can be reused over and over again for scapes. I simply wrap the moss around the rock, place the rock in place and anchor it in from behind. For starters, I balance the rocks in place, and then I may need some smaller rocks to wedge underneath them to hold them back. And then I slowly backfill with sand behind the rocks so the fish can't get stuck. Once they are all well balanced and in place, I add little bits of extra moss just to fill in the gaps, to hide the background, just to give it more of a natural look. As these little fish tend to swim in mid-water, what you'll mainly see in the background is the moss itself, which will give it a nice background. If I was doing bottom dwellers, I'd probably concentrate more on the base, but in this aquarium I'm concentrating more on the mid-water. And keep in mind, most of this probably won't be seen in the photos. I put a branch in here just to show you how it could look as a little aquascape or a naturalistic looking aquarium, but I'll be taking this back out to fill it and then I'll add little pieces back in once I'm done. This is just to give me a feel of the scape. And now we'll slowly fill it, cleaning off all the bits of rock where they don't belong. And when you first fill the tank, you'll find there will be a little bit of scum from the gravel and the moss. This first fill will actually tidy the tank up a little bit, clear any scum off the glass. Then I'll drain it and then refill it again, and it should be pretty clear for starters. This will also get rid of any floating debris that will get in the way of your photos. Now refilling it, you can see it's much clearer. I add the prime or the chlorine neutralizer. Then all I have to do is add the pump and the heater and let it settle in for a couple of days, and in turn collect any other debris that might be floating around. Part 2, the camera and the photography. It isn't necessarily important what brand of camera you use. I'm just using what I have, a Canon 7D Mark II, a kit lens and a Tamron macro lens. But providing your lens can handle using flash guns, it's not really important what brand you use. This shows you the scape settled in with the fish, and I'm now ready to take photos. To do this, I have the lights off. When I'm prepared to take the photos, I turn the lights on and do a small water change. I've done this with a small amount of rainwater in a bottle. I've siphoned a little bit of water off the top of the tank and add a little bit of salt to the water. This in turn will make the fish a little bit more active, and they may start sparring for me. If they don't, I'll leave it again for another day or a couple of hours and then try again. The first couple of photos I just take with the kit lens, just to show you it can be done with just standard lenses. You get your camera set up on a tripod in front of the tank. That way you don't have to move the camera around too much. You can do without this, but I find it easier. I have my flash guns in place, ready to go, and then just sit there and wait for the fish to start sparring. My settings on the studio flash gun were about 5.6 to 6.0. This may vary depending on the flash guns you use. And my camera settings were 1 to 250, f11 and ISO of 100. This may vary also between camera to camera, but this is what I found to be the happy medium for my photos. Then with the final photo, I used a Tamron 90mm. With this I captured a nice pair of males sparring, and I was pretty happy with that shot. The reason for using the flash guns is fish, especially when they're sparring, are always moving about. If you try doing it with a normal camera, they may turn out blurry or dark, but with the flash guns you get the high-speed photos. I found the best way to have your flashes situated is one right above the tank to get rid of the shadows from behind the fish, and one at a 45-degree angle at the front of the tank. Now for part 3, how to optimize your photos in Photoshop. I only take my photos in RAW because there's much more you can do with them. For starters, I'll do this in real time, and just remember, each time you do a step in Photoshop, add another layer. This way if you make a mistake, you can always delete that layer and you haven't deleted all the extra work you've done in the previous layer. The first thing I'm going to do is crop the photo to the size I want it, and to get rid of any excess that I don't want around the sides. Once I have the fish I want framed nicely, I can then go and resize the photo to the optimum size. Just remember, rule of thirds works well with this, so try and put your fish in the first quarter or the back quarter, depending on how you want to situate your fish. Then you go to image sizing, and a standard photo out of a Canon is 5472 by 3700 at a resolution of 300 pixels per inch. This is a good photo size. Now that I've done this, I add another layer to start working on the photo again. After I've done that and I'm happy, I go to the next step, filters. Go down to the camera raw filter mode. This is where you can actually get the color and the resolutions and that you want. This is probably personal preference, but it's nice to be able to tweak these photos in a way that looks nice. Depending on the light of the photo, this part, all you're doing is actually trying to make it look the way you'd see the fish in the aquarium. I like to make this bit crisp and a little bit darker, and then when I go back, I actually brighten it up a little bit. It seems to be right for me. I'm also trying to imagine what these fish would look like swimming around in a creek in these little mossy areas. Then I go to the tab you see below, go to brightness and contrast, and just brighten up the photo a little bit to my liking. Then I just combine these two layers together and add another layer. And once I'm happy with that, I go to the next tool, the Band-Aid tool. This is a great little tool to get rid of any blemishes you don't want, or any unsightly little speckles or scratches in the glass. Just try not to use it too much, as you can go overboard with it. And remember to try and keep it looking natural. As you can see, it doesn't always work out properly, so you might have to go over it a little bit. Or if you go too far, just delete that layer and start again. But if you're going too far, make sure you put extra layers in frequently in this section, because a lot of the work you might have already done could be deleted. In this next step, I'll show you in fast forward, just so you don't have to sit around looking at all the little blemishes I get rid of, but you can spend as little or as long as you like on this step. It's good to get rid of any little glary white pebbles or bits of algae, or even little bits of fluff that might be in the water column that you've missed. It's actually surprising what comes up on the photo that you didn't see previously. Any little blemishes or spots on the glass that you might have missed. With this, you should be able to clean all that up. Even little speckles that look unnatural on the fish itself. I find doing this step kind of relaxing and rewarding to see the end result. Then the next step is adding your watermark. This is an easy way of doing it. All you do is add the text and then change the opacity, and you've got yourself an instant watermark that was easy to do. You just resize it to the size you like. But I also make sure that before I put the watermark, I always save the photo first without the watermark, and then I can use a watermarked photo for things like social media, etc. and then you're done. One nice photo of some pseudomogul luminatus sparring. Hope you enjoyed this video.